Welcome back, everyone. World Baseball News for the week of May 22nd. We've got news from all parts of the world today. As usual, news and recaps from Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Mexico, Cuba, and the European leagues. 2 European leagues ended their regular seasons last week. Also, some news from the Caribbean Series. But today we're going to start somewhere we've never started before. But get used to it, you'll see more of it in the future. Baseball United, the first ever baseball league serving the Middle East and South Asia, announced its first franchise last week. The Mumbai Cobras, based in Mumbai, India, are the first of 4 teams that will take part in the league's inaugural showcase in Dubai this fall. The other 3 teams will be announced later on. The league's ownership includes Major League Hall of Famers Barry Larkin and Mariano Rivera. The venue for the showcase is Dubai International Stadium, a world-famous cricket stadium. And that's all we know about it so far. But there are big expectations for this. More information, including the revealing of the other 3 teams, will be coming in throughout the summer, so stay tuned. A few weeks ago, we learned that there would be 6 teams for next year's Caribbean Series in Miami, down from 8 this year. The usual 4, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and Venezuela. Curacao back for a second appearance, and Nicaragua appearing for the first time. That meant that Cuba, Panama, and Colombia, unfortunately, would not be taking part. Well, Cuba was expected, but the other 2 being left out was very disappointing, especially since both of them had won the Caribbean Series in the last 5 years. However, according to this, in the next 30 days, the organizing committee will be evaluating the possibilities of options so that Colombia and Panama can participate. So we might see 8 teams there after all. If they do include Colombia and Panama, they'll probably need to find a second venue to use, as they did in Venezuela last winter. As of now, plans are to use only Lone Depot Park. NPB in Japan. It's the last 3rd of May, which means it's time to break out the All-Star ballots. Voting for the 2023 NPB All-Star Series kicked off last Friday and will go on until June 18th. Ballots can be cast on paper at all NPB games, or the easier method, online at the official NPB site, npb.jp. When you go there, you'll first want to create an account. Click on the red box you see there. If you change the language to English at the top of this page, it won't be available, so you have to do this in Japanese. After you do that, you'll see this. Click on the top one. The bottom one is if you have an account already. Next, check the little blue box, enter an email address, and create a password. Then click the blue bar at the bottom, and a link will be sent to that address. Click on the link, then you'll log in again, and you can start voting. 1 ballot can be cast per day. Results will be announced on June 28th. The All-Star Series is on July 19th and 20th. Big milestone for Neftali Soto. The Baystars slugger hit home run number 150 last week. That is good for 4th all-time for a Baystars foreign hitter. The record for a foreign hitter is 167, held by Bobby Rose. And now to last week's results. Tuesday, Giants held on for a 9-8 win over the Swallows in Shizuoka. Baystars dropped their 6th in a row, 7-5 to the Carp. Tigers over the Dragons, 9-4. Lions scored 2 runs in the 12th to top the Fighters, 4-2. Eagles blanked the Hawks, 3-0. All 3 runs came on solo home runs. And the Marines and Buffaloes ended in a 1-1 tie. Eagles pitcher Takahisa Hayakawa threw 7 scoreless with 5 Ks for the win. Marines pitcher Atsuki Taneichi lasted 9 innings, struck out 9, allowed only 1 run on 3 hits, but left with a no decision. Wednesday, Giants got past the Swallows again, 5-4. Baystars snapped their losing streak, 7-4 over the Carp. NPB ERA leader Irin Kuri allowed 6 of those runs. Most came late in the game. Tigers over Dragons, 3-1 for their 6th win in a row. Fighters shut out the Lions 3-0. Hawks blasted the Eagles 10-1. That series ended in a 1-1 split, and the Marines took down the Buffaloes 7-3. Shugo Maki had the big bat for the Baystars, 2 home runs, driving in 5. Naoyuki Uwasawa went all 9 innings for a 4-hit shutout with 9 strikeouts. Hawks infielder Hikaru Kawase drove in 2 runs on 3 hits. Thursday, Giants 6-3 over the Swallows for the sweep. Baystars clobbered the Carp 13-3 to take the series. Tigers 4-1 over the Dragons for the sweep, and their 7th win in a row. Fighters 6-2 over the Lions to win the series, and the Marines beat the Buffaloes 5-1 to take over first place in Pacific League. Baystars leadoff man Kate Tasano had 2 hits, 2 walks, a home run, and 5 batted in. Friday, Baystars Swallows were rained out. Tigers' win streak came to an end. Koyo Aoyagi, last year's ERA king, allowed 7 runs in 5 innings. 5 of those came in the first inning. The Carp used a starting lineup entirely made up of left-handed hitters, and it worked. They won 10-7. Eagles Marines rained out. Fighters blanked the Buffaloes 1-0, and the Hawks got past the Lions 5-4. Fighters pitcher Takayuki Kato tossed 8 scoreless with only 4 hits and 1 walk allowed. Saturday, Dragons dropped their 6th in a row, beaten by the Giants 6-2. Baystars 5-3 over the Swallows. Tigers walked it off in the bottom of the ninth to get past the Carp 1-0. Tigers outfielder Shota Morishita hit the sayonara single off of Carp pitcher Masato Morishita. Marines stayed hot 6-1 over the Eagles. Yoshinobu Yamamoto was sick, had to be scratched from his start, and that allowed the Fighters to win their fourth in a row, 5-3 over the Buffaloes. And the Lions scored the game's only run in the 8th inning to top the Hawks 1-0. Giants catcher Takumi Oshiro provided most of the offense with a 5th inning grand slam. Masato Morishita almost went the whole 9, going 8 2/3 before surrendering that one run that lost the game for him. For the Tigers, Kotaro Otake threw 7 shutout innings in a no decision, lowering his season ERA to 0.48 in 37 2/3 innings. Marines pitcher Yuji Nishino did go all 9 innings, allowing just 1 run on 3 hits and a walk. He is now 5-1 for the season. Another good one from Lions pitcher Kona Takahashi, 6 scoreless and 6 strikeouts. And Hawks pitcher Nao Higashiyama went 7 1/3, struck out 10, but allowed 1 run and was charged with the loss. Sunday, Giants capped off a perfect week with a 5-2 win over the Dragons for a 2-game sweep. Baystars and Swallows finished in a 3-3 tie after 12 innings. Tigers beat the Carp 4-1 to win the series. Marines 6-4 over the Eagles. They ended the week with 4 wins, no losses, and 1 tie. Buffaloes prevented a sweep with a 10-4 win over the Fighters, and the Hawks got past the Lions 3-1 to take that series. Tigers pitcher Hiroto Saiki, 6 2/3, 1 run, 7 strikeouts for the win. Central League standings, Tigers were 5-1 last week, grew their lead atop the standings from 1 to 2 games. Baystars are still in second, won 3 games last week, look like they're bouncing back from that losing streak. Giants went 5-0 for the week and climbed into 3rd place, 3 games behind the Baystars, 5 games out of 1st, and they are back over 500 at 21-20. Carp slipped to 4th place with the loss on Sunday, now trail the Giants by half a game. Swallows another ugly week, no wins, 4 losses, and the Dragons are the Dragons. At 13-27, they are 4.5 behind the Swallows, and currently riding a 7-game losing streak. In Pacific League, Marines took over the top spot and built a 2.5-game lead. They are playing some great baseball lately. Hawks and Buffaloes are in second. Hawks will have the Marines at home this weekend. That should be interesting. Fighters are now in 4th after winning 4 out of 6 last week. They're 4 games away from a top 3 position. Quite a gap. But this team has really seen some improvement. Lions are a half game behind the Fighters, and the Eagles are 1.5 behind the Lions. This week in NPB, Tuesday to Thursday, Baystars at Giants, Tigers at Swallows, Dragons at Carp, and Hawks at Fighters. The last 2 there are 2-game series, Tuesday and Wednesday only. They are Lions at Marines and Eagles at Buffaloes. On the weekend, Baystars at Dragons, Giants at Tigers, Swallows at Carp, Fighters at Eagles, and Buffaloes at Lions. Then we have Marines at Hawks, a 2-game series on Saturday and Sunday only. And that will be the last time teams face their league rivals for a while. Interleague play starts the following Tuesday. Let's head over to the KBO where we started yet another week with a tight race between the SSG Landers, LG Twins, and Lotte Giants for the lead in the standings. Tuesday, Tigers beat the Lions 8-2. Last place Wiz over the Twins 12-7. Giants got past the Eagles 3-1 in 10 innings. Bears topped the Heroes 4-1, and the Dinos took down the first place Landers 5-3. Wednesday, Tigers held off a late rally to get by the Lions again 7-6. Twins over the Wiz 7-3. Eagles got a walk-off single in a 10th from Unsung Che to beat the Giants 2-1. Bears powered past the Heroes 9-6, and the Landers blanked the Dinos 4-0. All 4 Landers runs were driven in by DH Jung Che. He homered twice, 1 solo and 1 3-run blast. Thursday, Tigers and Lions were rained out. Twins 9-5 over the Wiz for the series win. Giants 7-3 over the Eagles to take the series. Heroes 7-3 over the Bears to avoid a sweep, and another rainout, Landers and Dinos. Giants pitcher Hyun-Hee Han struck out 6 batters in 6 scoreless innings, only 1 hit and 2 walks allowed, as he improved to 4-2 for the season. All new series on Friday, Twins over Eagles 3-1. Wiz took care of the Bears 6-1. Giants moved into first place with a 7-5 win over the Landers. Lions held on to beat the Dinos 5-4, and the Tigers hammered the Heroes 10-1. Twins pitcher Casey Kelly went 7 innings with only 1 allowed for win number 4. Tigers pitcher Wee Lee Yi did the same. 7 innings, 1 run, only 2 hits and 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts. Saturday, Eagles and Twins settled nothing after 12 innings, a 1-1 tie. Bears silenced the Wiz 6-0. Landers did the same to the Giants 5-0 to take back the top spot. Dinos destroyed the Lions 14-3, and the Tigers got past the Heroes 3-2. Bears pitcher Raul Alcantara tossed 8 scoreless, only 1 hit and 2 walks. He is now 4-2 with a 1.50 ERA. His run support came from Jose Rojas, who homered twice to drive in 3. Landers pitcher Kwang Hyung Kim, 6 scoreless, 1 hit, no walks, and 9 strikeouts. Sunday, Twins over Eagles 4-1. Wiz got a series win 7-3 over the Bears. The big series went to the Landers. They won the rubber match 6-3 over the Giants. Lions got past the Dinos 2-1 in 12 innings to win that series. Heroes shut out the Tigers 1-0 to avoid a sweep. Wiz catcher Sung Woo Jang drove in 4 runs on a 2 RBI single and a 2-run homer. Dinos pitcher Jae-Huk Lee had a no-hitter after 6 innings, then was pulled from the game and left with a no decision. KBO standings, Landers and Twins share the top spot, both teams 26-14-1, and those two will be meeting this week. Giants fell to 2 games back, Dinos and Bears 5.5 back, 1 game over 500. Tigers at 18-18 are half a game away from a place in the top half. Lions 2 games behind the Tigers, Heroes 1 behind the Lions. Eagles tough schedule last week, facing the Giants and Twins. They are 2.5 behind the Heroes, and the Wiz are last. This week in the KBO, Tuesday to Thursday, Tigers at Eagles, Twins at Landers, the 2 teams tied for first place. Dinos at Giants, Lions at Bears, and Heroes at Wiz. On the weekend, Eagles at Dinos, Wiz at Lions, Twins at Tigers, Giants at Heroes, and Landers at Bears. CPBL in Taiwan, they are now in the second half of the first stage, which means under 30 games remain till they crown a first-half champion. 1 game last Monday, Monkeys beat up the Brothers 8-1. Jen Ho Tseng, 6 innings, 1 run for the win in his first outing of the season. Tuesday, Monkeys over Lions and Dragons over Guardians, both by the scores of 4-2. Wednesday, Monkeys stayed hot, a 1-0 shutout of the Lions. Brandon Waddell tossed 7 scoreless to earn his 5th win of the season. Brothers beat the Guardians 8-2. Outfielder Chang Hua Yu was a single short of the cycle. He doubled, tripled, and homered to drive in 3. Thursday, Monkeys kept rolling 9-3 over the Dragons for their 6th win in a row. Brothers and Guardians ended in a 6-6 tie. Friday, Lions shut out the Dragons 7-0. Brock DeShorn was responsible for 6 of those innings. Brothers blanked the Guardians 3-0. Hao Chun Chang tossed 6 1/3 with 7 Ks for the win. Saturday, Lions were 3-2 winners over the Dragons, and the Monkeys' win streak came to an end. Brothers beat them 6-3. Sunday, Dragons scored 3 in the bottom of the 8th for a 7-6 come-from-behind win over the Lions to avoid a sweep. And the last-place Guardians shut out the first-place Monkeys 2-0. Matthew Kent tossed 7 scoreless to earn the win. CPBL standings, Monkeys dropped their last 2 after winning 6 in a row. They've still got a 2-game lead at the top over the second-place Lions. Dragons are 1 game behind the Lions. Those 2 were tied going into their series over the weekend. Brothers are looking much better since the shake-up in management, just a game behind the Dragons. And the Guardians are last, 6 games under 500. This week in the CPBL, Brothers are at home Tuesday to Thursday. They get the Dragons on Tuesday and Wednesday, and the Guardians on Thursday. Lions will visit the Monkeys for a 3-game series Tuesday to Thursday. LMB in Mexico. After more than 25 games played, the North has its good, bad, and in-between teams. Meanwhile, in the South, one team is clearly outperforming the rest. Toros de Tijuana became the new leader in the North after going 5-1 last week. They won 2 out of 3 from Aguascalientes, then swept Saltillo over the weekend. Monterrey is second, just as they were a week ago, and only a half game behind the leader. They swept 2 from Laguna, then won their weekend series with Monclova. Tecolotes fell to third. They faced a couple tough opponents from the South. They lost twice to Rojos. The third game was rained out. Then they won 2 out of 3 from Tabasco. Not bad, but it cost them the top spot. They are 1 game back. 4th place is a tie, Laguna and Durango, both 3.5 out. Number 6, Guadalajara, followed by Saltillo, Aguascalientes, and Monclova, half game separating each of the bottom 4 teams. In the South, Olmecas de Tabasco hold a 3-game lead at the top. Before losing a series with Dos Laredos on the weekend, they won a series over Puebla, so they broke even for the week. Diablos Rojos are second, 1 game over 500. They had those 2 big wins over Dos Laredos, but then lost their weekend series with Campeche. Every other team in the South is under 500. 4-way tie for third, Veracruz, Oaxaca, Yucatan, and Puebla. Quintana Roo 1 game behind all of them. Campeche and León at the bottom. This week's big series is Tuesday to Thursday. North leader Toros de Tijuana visits South leader Olmecas de Tabasco. Cuban National Series, entering the final third of the regular season schedule this week. Which teams will be in the playoffs is anyone's guess. Santiago are first, just as they were a week ago at 30-20. They were 4-1 last week, with a single win over Las Tunas and 3 out of 4 over Guantanamo. Second place Mayabeque is only a half game behind. They beat Artemisa once to start last week, then won 4 out of 5 over Pinar del Rio. Third place Artemisa, just 1 game out. After that loss to Mayabeque, they swept 5 games from Isla Juventud. Fourth place Matanzas are 2.5 out. Fifth place Holguin 3.5 games out of first. Half game behind them is Sancti Spiritus. Half game behind Sancti Spiritus is Ciego de Avila. Half game behind Ciego de Avila is Pinar del Rio, now 24 and 24 after a rough week, tied with two other teams, Villa Clara and Las Tunas, for that 8th and final playoff spot. Isla Juventud is half a game behind those three. Industrialis is 1.5 out. Granma and Camagüey 3 games out in the playoff race. Cienfuegos 4.5 out. And Guantanamo has now hit the bottom. This week there are a couple matchups of teams in the top half. 3rd place Artemisa and 8th place Pinar del Rio. And number 6 meets number 7 when Sancti Spiritus takes on Ciego de Avila. Czech Baseball Extraliga. The regular season is over. We already knew who the 6 postseason teams were going to be heading into last week, but most teams still had 1 or 2 games remaining. And here's how they look at the end of the first round. Drossi Brno was 6-8 and just barely in the top 6. Then they won their last 7 games and finished at the top. 3 teams tied for second. Trebek Nuclears, Rossi Brno, and Sokol Hluboka were all 12-9, 1 game behind Drossi. In the final game of the first round on Sunday, Sokol beat Rossi to make that tie possible. Eagles and Tempo Praha, 11-10, grabbed the last 2 spots in the postseason. Eros Ostrava and Technica Brno finished way back. They moved down to the relegation round. The 15-game round-robin stage of the postseason begins this Friday. Drossi versus Sokol, Eagles versus Tempo, and Nuclears versus Rossi. All series are 3 games, Friday through Sunday. Baseball Bundesliga. It was a special week in Germany as the Ascension Day holiday on Thursday meant that there was some weekday baseball. 3-game series instead of the usual 2. In the north, the Paderborn Untouchables won 2 out of 3 from Hamburg, while the Bonn Capitals swept Cologne. Those 2 are at the top. Hamburg and Berlin, both at 500, are third, 2 games back. Berlin won their series with Doran, who is now 1 game out of that 4th and final playoff spot. Cologne is last, 3 games out in the playoff race. This weekend, back to 2-game series. It's Paderborn versus Doran, Bonn versus Berlin, and Hamburg versus Cologne. In the south, a couple 4-game series. Regensburg won all 4 times against last place Mannheim. They are the new leader at 12-2, because Heidenheim was beaten for the first and second times, splitting a 4-game series with Mainz. At 10-4, Mainz is in third, only 2 games out of first, and those are definitely the big 3 right now. The rest are all under 500. Stuttgart and Haar only played twice, with Haar winning both times. They now trail Stuttgart by 1 game in the playoff race. Hunstetten was off last week. They trail by 2 games. Mannheim is dead last. This week, Heidenheim versus Haar and Stuttgart versus Mannheim. The other 3 are not scheduled to play. Italian Baseball League. The regular season is all done. 20 teams are out. 10 teams are left for the round-robin stage. And those teams are, out of Group A, San Marino and Macerata. They split their series over the weekend, both teams losing for the first time. Group B, Parma and Ronchi move on. That group was done the week before. Parma is the only team in any group to finish undefeated. Group C, Unipulsai Fortitudo Bologna and Hortadi Godonites. Group D was undecided going into last week. Nettuno swept 2 from previously unbeaten BSC Grosseto. Those 2 finished at the top at 8-2, and will move on to the next round. BBC Grosseto won its final 2 games, but they are the odd ones out. They were the best team in any group not to make the postseason. And Group E, Modena and Senago. That group finished up the week before. No playoff schedule as of right now. Once again, the 10 playoff teams for the Italian League postseason are San Marino, Macerata, Parma, Ronchi, Bologna, Godonites, Nettuno, BSC Grosseto, Modena, and Senago. Honkbal Hoofdklasse in the Netherlands. Neptunus has been dominating this year. Lucky for the rest of the league, they were off last week. We had matchups of teams from the bottom 4 taking on teams from the top 4, hoping to climb their way up. But they were completely unsuccessful. HCAW swept Hoofddorp Pioneers, Amsterdam swept UVV, and Oosterhout Twins swept DSS Kinheim. So the top 4 are Neptunus, HCAW, Amsterdam, and Twins. Same order as before. There is a good race for 4th though. RCH swept Amersfoort, so all series were 3-game sweeps last week. RCH is 10-10, Twins are 10-6. The last 4 teams, DSS, Amersfoort, Hoofddorp, and UVV, don't really have a chance. This week, RCH is off, and they might get a little help. Twins have to face HCAW. The other series are Neptunus versus UVV, Amsterdam versus Hoofddorp, and DSS versus Amersfoort. And that's all for this one. Until next time, this is Baseball International. See ya.